Welcome to the Steve Show. Today we're going to talk about planning your day so you can get more done in less time. So many people ask me, how do I structure my life so I have more freedom? And even that's almost an oxymoron, right? How do I structure things so I can have more freedom? So often we think freedom is like a feather blowing in the wind, right? Let's just have freedom and float away. But then you have to think about it. Who has control, the feather or the wind, right? So the wind is going to blow the feather wherever it wants to go. And sometimes it's cool to do that in your life. Sometimes it's cool to experience something where you're just floating along and experience whatever comes your way. But when it comes to our life and running a business and making sure certain things happen that we want. So it's not that we're like forcing things, but if you want certain things in your life, sometimes you have to have structure in there to make it happen a lot quicker and with more ease. And so with that, a lot of having things happen the way that you want it in your life is to plan more appropriately. So I often tell my clients, and I'm sharing with you right now, is plan tomorrow today. When you actually start to make those plans happen, then you start to have more of what you want the next day. So here's a couple for instances. Like, do you end your day and you have so much stuff still to do and you're like, and you feel frustrated. You leave the day thinking you're not as accomplished as you want. You feel like maybe you let yourself down. Do you feel like you have to work really long hours on the other side, that you're not going to quit? You just keep going, even though you really do want to go home and have dinner with your family, or maybe you want to go on a vacation, but you're like, I'm not going to go on a vacation because I have all this work to do. And it just becomes continuous cycle of work. And you're not going on vacations, you're not going home at night, or you are at home and you're working at a home office and you just spend all your time at your desk or on your computer and you're not giving yourself any free time. Well, if any of these are you, and there's other things you could be doing, spending lots of time, then you need to have more structure. When we don't give ourselves a block of time, you'll take up as much as you want. Zig Ziglar, who has passed on several years back, and he had this famous speech, I always remember this Acapulco speech, where he said, hey, I have 2 extra tickets to go to Acapulco. And this is before, when Acapulco was a little safer. Acapulco was the first big resort part of Mexico, and now it's probably not the most safe part of Mexico. There's other full all-inclusive resort areas in Mexico now. Anyway, I digress. But he did this Acapulco story, and this is a long time ago when everyone was going to Acapulco. And he said, hey, I've got these 2 extra tickets. Who wants to go with me? And people raised their hand. He said, if I had these extra tickets and I gave them to you, how many of you can go if we were leaving tomorrow at 8 in the morning? Keep your hands up. And then they'd have their hands up. And then he'd go and start talking to a few people. And he says, hey, what do you have to do between now and tomorrow morning at 8 in the morning to come with me? And people started saying, I have to delegate some things at work. I have to let people know that I'm going to be gone. I have to find someone to watch my dog. I have to get someone to watch the kids. I have to do this. And the laundry list went on and on and on of all the things. And then he said, okay, who can get it all done? Raise your hand. And then people raised their hand. And it was a huge amount. And then he said, how many of you are going to get more done between now and tomorrow at 8 a.m. than you would on a normal basis? Raise your hand. And then everyone raised their hand that wanted to go. You see, when we have a deadline and you have to do something, all of a sudden things start getting done a lot faster. If you just go to work every day and you just allow yourself an abundant amount of time, hey, I'm going to just do it, whatever it takes, then you end up taking whatever it takes. When you actually give yourself an hour or 30 minutes to get a task done and you time yourself, and you can try this out. Just try this out on your own. Give yourself 30 minutes, do a task, see if you can get it done. 2 things happen. 1, you'll probably get the job done a lot faster. 2, if you don't get it done, you'll actually start to understand what the appropriate amount of time there are that should be there for you to get that task done. And what that does is it changes the way that we plan our days. Because if you make a list of things, and this is for those people that don't feel accomplished at the end of the day, because your list was so long, you feel like, I didn't get anything done, even though you did get a few things done. But you overcommitted yourself. You put too many things on your plate, and then you discourage yourself by doing so. So if you actually know, oh, that takes about an hour, and you actually start timing yourself, then you know, wow, I can't fit 10 hours of work in tomorrow. I better make a change, and I better actually say, you know what, I better do this on Tuesday and this on Wednesday, and you can start actually planning. So here's a couple quick tips that I would do. So at the end of the day, whatever time you want to stop, if you want to stop at 2 p.m., if you want to stop at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever time you want to end your day, then put 5-10 minutes on your calendar and have an alarm go off on your calendar. If you're using a digital calendar or on your phone, and have it say plan tomorrow. And then in that 5 minutes, look at what you got done that day. Is there anything left over? Do you need to move anything to the next day? And then make that appropriate. And then when you plan the next day, write down all the things you need to get done. And then I scrutinize with 3 things. One of my good friends, Marco Robert, always used to say these 3 things, and I've taken it on and I've shared it with all the time with other people. What can I eliminate? So look at the whole list. What can I eliminate? Number 2, what can I delegate? Is there anything on here I can delegate? Even if you don't have employees, maybe you can get a subcontractor. Maybe you can use upwork.com, Upwork, like up and then work.com. It's a way to find all these people that will be virtual assistants and do little tasks for you. And you can delegate little things, sometimes for like $5, $10, $6. You know, it depends on what you need done. It can be upwards to thousands of dollars. It all depends on what you need. And then the third thing is, what can you automate? What can you have computers do for you? And now, not everything on your list are you going to be able to have fall into those 3 things. What's left over, you then prioritize and you take on for that next day. Now, as I look at things, I keep asking myself those 3 things. What can I eliminate? What can I delegate? What can I automate? And sometimes I'll go a whole month and I'm doing a task that I think I should. And then at some point I realize, oh my gosh, I can delegate this. Sometimes just by looking at it over and over every day, and you keep asking yourself, what can I eliminate? What can I delegate? What can I automate? You start to actually find the things, or think new thoughts, or find new ways to do things so you don't have to do it anymore. And that opens up your schedule. The other thing you start to notice at the end of every day, you start to look at your success or your lack of success in any given day, and then how can you plan more appropriately the next day? What are the things that you should think differently about? What are the things, oh, did I overschedule myself? And even when is it scheduled? Like, okay, I'm going to do this in the morning. I'm going to do this in the afternoon. I have client meetings here. I've got meetings here. I've got meetings there. You start actually structuring your day instead of saying, I hope I get this done. I have all these meetings, and then in the gaps, I'm going to get these tasks done, which then those gaps get squeezed, or you want to take a breather, or you go to the restroom, or you go get a snack, and all of a sudden they're gone. Poof, gone. So you need to actually plan your day appropriately with all of those items in order for you to have the life you want. So I'm going to stress, and this is something, it's not brand new. If you've watched my show for a while, I've talked about this on other episodes in different ways. But today I wanted to bring it up again because it comes up so often in my mentorship programs, in my courses. People are constantly asking, how do I plan my day so I can get more done? And you look, the answer in simple terms is you look each day at what you're going to do the next day. And then at the end of the next day, you look at what worked and what didn't work and how can you plan the next day. And you keep making a better plan. And we do this in so many other things in our life except for our own calendar. And if you do this, I promise you, if you just start at the end of the day, scrutinize what you're doing, what's worked, what's not worked, what can you eliminate, what can you delegate, what can you automate, and then what's left over, you prioritize for the next day or the next week. Maybe you're like, oh, maybe I don't even have to do that on Thursday. Maybe I can do that next Monday. You can start to schedule out and put things on your calendar so it becomes a reality. It becomes done. And then you can get to living more, to having more holidays, to being home sooner. You know, maybe you can leave the office sooner because you've right-sized the amount of work you need to get done. I know for me, and to close this episode out, I can go in and work from 10 to 2 and get a whole bunch done. I can get more done than people that are working 8 hours. So I start later in the morning and then I get work done and then I have meetings more in the afternoon with clients and then I'm done for my day. You know, so, and that doesn't even have to be every day. I try to only work like 3 days a week and then take some days off, and then sometimes I do events on the weekends. So I have a lot of flexibility in my days, but I'm constantly structuring. So I hope that this has been helpful. It's really given me the opportunity to have the life that I want. If you don't plan it, you don't put it on your calendar, and you don't structure how much time you're going to give yourself, I promise you're going to take all of the time that you can. You'll fill up your day before you even know it, and then you'll wonder why you didn't get enough done, and you'll wonder why you're not home with your family sooner, and you'll wonder why you're not making it to the holidays that you want, or that you don't have enough time off if you don't start taking this really, really serious. And the very last thing I'll say is that give yourself a reset. If something doesn't work out well one day, the next day when you're planning, give yourself another chance. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just say, okay, that didn't work well. Let's take another option. So as always, let me know what's been useful from this episode. Let me know what questions you have. I love to hear that because it helps me to know what episodes to make in the future. And if you really like this, then subscribe and we'll let you know when the next episode comes out and give you other cool things that I'm giving to people that are connected with our show. So thank you so much. And until our next episode, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom.